Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our backyard. In today's video, I want to talk about garden pests, and in particular, I want to talk about fire ants, which was a particular pest that was very problematic for me this week in the garden. My name is Crystal, and I gardened in Zone 9, south of Houston, close to the Texas Gulf Coast. And I ran a post this week asking y'all what was your least favorite garden task to do in the garden. And over 50% of you responded with dealing with pests, whether that was insect or animal types. And I had an encounter this week that was horrifying. Let me get closer. I noticed my yarrow plant was acting kind of weird. It was starting to be flattened and all the blooms were starting to lay on the ground. And so I thought, well, that's really odd. And I'd come over and I'd take a look at it and, I wouldn't see anything. Well, lo and behold, I didn't inspect close enough because what was happening was fire ants were taking up residence, and they were using this beautiful lattice work of my yarrow plant for their nest. And I didn't notice it until it was all the way up to most of the plant. And it was an active mound. It was huge, and it was destroying the plant. So, as you know, I am a butterfly, hummingbird, and pollinator gardener, and I don't use pesticides, insecticides, or herbicides in the garden. I have been very happy with growing plants that pretty much resist pests, and if I do get a plant ever where I have an infestation of pests, I usually don't keep that in the garden because I don't want to have what's considered a trap plant to attract those type of bugs. My only exception is milkweed, and that will attract the small yellow aphids that are on all milkweed. And because I want milkweed in the garden for monarch butterflies, I will always have aphids, but those aphids are only on the milkweed. They don't transfer and go to and are problematic to other plants. So I pretty much had a choice. Do I get rid of the yarrow and try to manually move and dig out the ants and do as best I could? Or should I start first by spraying it down? And so that's what I did. Of course, fire ants sting horribly and they hurt. Ooh, I hate fire ants. But I tried water, and water over days did not deter them, and they just kept building and building and building. And so then I had a choice. Am I going to get rid of the plant, or am I going to do something about it? And so that was a really tough choice, and let me show you what I did. So we do have fire ants in the yard, and the reason is we don't treat our grass anymore with insecticide. Like I said, I am a pollinator gardener, so I do not want to kill pollinators. But this was a choice. Do I keep the plant, or do I and have this infestation of fire ants because they're just going to continue to grow and grow? Or do I do something? And so I chose, and agonized and chose to do something. And so what we use in our weep holes of the house is diatomaceous earth. And you might ask, what is diatomaceous earth? And it is a fossilized diatom. And a diatom is a single-celled algae. So It is, I guess, marketed to be safe for organic gardening, but don't get me wrong, it kills crawling insects. And so it kills a lot of the things that you don't like, as you can see here: cockroaches, ants, fleas, silverfish, earwigs, bed bugs, etc. But it also will get some of those crawling beneficials. And so we just use this in the weep holes of our house because we don't want those insects coming into the house, and it's very effective. So what I did is I put a light dusting, and the ants hate it because it doesn't kill them with an insecticide, but what it does is even though it looks like a powder, it is like flour. It is jagged and craggy, and you can still see a little bit of the remnants that I have on the plant. If it rains, it's washed away and no longer effective. And it removed the fire ants immediately. So they pulled up shop and went somewhere else. I haven't found them yet to where they went, but it saved this plant. And I noticed what happened was the blooms started to come back up and it started to revive. So I guess I can't say that I haven't used now an insecticide. Even though it's not an insecticide, it is harmful to insects. And so on this plant, it was harmful to even the beneficials. But I got rid of the problematic fire ants. What do y'all think? Is there something, those of us in the South that have to deal with fire ants, they're just a scourge. What do you all use? You'll notice it kills tons of stuff, from Japanese beetles down to crickets to grasshoppers, leafhoppers, etc. But it isn't an effective overall use because once it rains, it's ineffective. Now for me, that's really good because I can spray it down, and now I've sprayed the plant and I'm not going to have any issues with residual, and the ants have left shop, so that's super good. Let me go and show you something else. So in the back of this bed, you can see that we've got 3 mason jars, and they've got holes for ants to go in at the top, but nothing else gets in. And we are trying different products that go in, like eggs and peanut butter and different types of protein-based product, because that's what fire ants eat, mixed with borax. And so that is supposed to kill them and go down to the queen and kill them all. And we've been trying this for over a year now, and it is mixed results. I love my stand of Tithonia in this garden bed. Oh my goodness. So do the butterflies. Oh, I'll be having my May garden tour soon, and we'll be able to see all the different things that are in bloom. And I've got lots of butterflies that are out and about enjoying the blooms today. But anyway, back to the pests. Fire ants have been my particular scourge this week, but you all voted, and everybody has different things that they have challenges in the yard, whether it's animals like deer or moles or voles, or pests like Japanese beetles, or like I have had to deal with fire ants. We all have something. And so there's always challenges, right, in the garden. And challenges can be overcome using the strongest method possible. And that's usually overkill, to where you make more problems for yourself. And so I would recommend researching for whatever problem that you're having to deal with for pests, to see and start with what's the least invasive thing that you can do that will do the least amount of damage before you go to a broad spectrum type, product that's going to cause you probably more grief in the end. So let me share one other thing that I find is very helpful to me when I garden. So this is a product that I have found that does wonders for me when I get bitten, especially by mosquitoes or fire ants. And the fire ants leave a venom behind, just like a mosquito would, but the fire ant also, it creates a pustule. And it's really, not only does it hurt when they bite, but it itches, and then you have this yucky stuff on your skin. So this is a suction type device, and it's very simple, but you put it over where you were bitten, and you then suck out the venom. And it seems like that is not going to work. I guarantee you it works. I saw this on Shark Tank, believe it or not, and I'm going to put up at the top the video that I did last year on this showing how to use it. I do not typically endorse products, but if something is really handy that I use, I want to share that. And so when I got stung, and I got stung a lot on my hands as I was dealing with my yarrow plant, I came out and used, bug bite thing. You've got to use it fairly soon after you're bitten. And my hand does not have any bites. It takes the sting out, it takes the itch out, and there's nothing. There's no pustule. There's absolutely nothing. It works great on mosquitoes too. So for those of you that are interested, I think I purchased this. I know you can get it online through Amazon. I think I purchased this at CVS. Ooh, let me zoom in on this gorgeous pipevine swallow. Oh, no. He decided to leave the aster. Anyway, I think I got this at CVS pharmacy for $10, but I've used it now for a year. And as I'm getting stung or bitten, this has been the thing that I like. So it's not a cream, it's just a manual suction that suctions out the venom, and then you don't have a problem. So there's my plug for today. All right. One other thing I want to share with you. It's pretty early in the morning, but it's so hot out that the butterflies are flying even though it's early. And it's fun seeing them. This is a pipevine swallowtail butterfly. And that blue at the bottom is so pretty. If you can see on the abdomen, it's also got blue. Wow. He decided he did not want to be filmed, unfortunately. So on my channel, you probably know that if you've watched my videos, you know I am a huge fan of our native coral honeysuckle. And I absolutely love this plant. It just sustains so many beneficial insects, birds, animals, you name it. I want to get a little closer. The berries are starting to ripen. There's one of those called ugly bug. But the berries are starting to ripen, and It's got a lot of berries on it. Well, anyway, the reason why I want to share this with you is because I have known it is a host plant to a butterfly, but I never connected that butterfly. Don't ask me why, because I'm pretty good with this kind of stuff. But the coral honeysuckle is native to Texas, but it's also native to so many states in the United States. And it is the host to the spring azure butterfly and the snowberry clearwing moth. Well, the spring azure is a really small butterfly. It's white and it's small to only 3/4 of an inch to a little over an inch. And I did not realize, because I've seen this butterfly in the yard, I didn't connect it with my coral honeysuckle vine. And last night I saw multiple, so this was at dusk, I saw multiple hummingbird moths out. Now we have hummingbird moths in the yard and I just find them fascinating, right? But I didn't really know what were the host plants. Well, guess what? That is also called the snowberry clearwing moth. So when I looked up the host plants and saw that moth, it's like, oh, I don't know what that moth is. And I never gave it another thought. This is the host to the hummingbird moth. And so no wonder I'll have hummingbird moths at dusk. And it's like, where are they coming from? Well, they're coming from my own wonderful coral honeysuckle vine. And so not only does it support hummingbirds and native bees, they just love this flower. It has berries that ripen, that support birds, and it is a host plant to a beautiful white butterfly and the fun hummingbird moth. I love this native plant even more. Isn't that too funny? So I still don't have this in its container yet. And this is my 4th trellis. So I have trellises all throughout here. And I will be putting one coral honeysuckle here. My husband would like to even get one more and put it next to it. And like I mentioned in the past, we've got it not next to, but it's a good 5 inches out from the brick of our home. But in the heat of the summer, this just cools off the brick. Behind there is cool. The exposed brick is hotter than a firecracker, but this is so cool. And so it helps us too, along with the wildlife. So as I mentioned, I'm also including the video that I did on the coral honeysuckle. And I love this plant even more. This is too fun. So now I know you don't see moths during the day. So you see them at dawn or at dusk is when they come out, and they feed on flowers, tubular shaped flowers, just like hummingbirds do, but they also love my verbena. And so I see them on butterfly bushes and verbena and porterweed and Turk's cap and, you name it, they're on it. But I don't see them unless I'm out at dusk or dawn, because that's when their feeding time is. So how fun. I found out a fun fact. You all might have known that, but I didn't. So anyway, I wanted to share that with you all today. So coming up, I'm real excited because there's been so much growth in the garden. It'll be the end of May when my May garden video comes out, and I am really excited to show you my garden. So thank you for joining me today as I talked about my fire ant problem, the device I use once I get bit, and of course my wonderful native plant, the coral honeysuckle vine. So I hope you all have a wonderful day today. Thanks for joining me, and I hope to see you again soon.